Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Namaskar, I am Professor Susmitha P. Mallaya, Professor in Faculty of Law, University of Delhi. So I have introduced a course on Socio-Economic Offences in India, and we have started with the Essential Commodities Act, and you have listened to my lecture for the two parts. We started with the introductory part of how the Essential Commodities Act has been enacted in India, pre-colonial perspective of it, then the post-colonial also, how in 1955, what made India to adopt for a permanent legislation, which is considered as a socio-legal offense. And then we have also discussed in the previous class regarding the enforcement mechanism under the Essential Commodities Act and the role played by the collector, then the procedure that is followed. Now, in the today's lecture, we are going to discuss, I'm going to present before you the price control mechanism and protecting the interest of consumers and traders. So this is what now we are going to start with. What is the price control mechanism? Now, I'm just going to ask a question to you all. Just think about this. Now, can a shopkeeper legally sell a 20 rupees mask for 200 rupees during a pandemic? We have all faced this situation during the COVID times. We have seen there was a huge rush to get the hand sanitizers. There was a huge rush to collect the mask. There was a huge rush in the hospitals for the beds, oxygen cylinders, what not. We all have witnessed a very dreadful situation in our life. So now let us think about it. This is the first question. That is, a 20 rupees mask, a shopkeeper is selling it for 200. See the difference. Now, you think about the oxygen cylinders that were sold during the COVID. Then, when the floods comes, then again, a 20 rupees or 10 rupees water bottle, mineral water is sold for 50, 100. Who will care for that? Now, train tickets, whenever the mass migrations takes place and all, you can see there is a sudden jump in the train tickets. Is it price gouging? How will you say that? Is it price gouging? Or do you think that it is morally wrong? Or that is, you wanted to exploit, so that's why you are charging it, because now it's a time. Sometimes, personally also I have experienced many times, when you take a rickshaw and if it is raining, then he will ask more charges from you. Then if you say that it was not, it is only 30 rupees, but he said that, no, madam, you have to pay 100 rupees. So there is a difference. Then if you start arguing with him, then he will say that, madam, I am also running my auto in the wind, and when there is a flood, so I may not get another customer. So that's what I'm charging. He is justifying him. He is justifying him, and he is justified that he is morally correct. Now, from his point of view, he may be correct. But from my point of view, the same distance which I used to cover for 30 rupees, and I don't have any other option, but he is making me to pay more than that. That means 100 rupees, 150 rupees, he may charge anything. And if I say no, he will leave. He will leave and he may get another customer. Now the question of the morality comes here. Now, what the law will do here? Can I complain to the person concerned saying that I am a consumer, I was availing his service of traveling, but he's denying me? Where I will go? Now, similarly, in case of the commodities, the question comes, is it unethical inflation that the essential goods are during crisis, whenever the crisis comes? So these are all some of the questions that you need to understand or think about when we discuss about the price fixing, or we can say that the price control mechanism. Why there is a need, or do you think that there is a need for the price control mechanisms to protect the interest of the consumers as well as the traders? Now, what the answers, but how will you answer? Morally, I told that morally he may be correct. I'm not saying he may be correct morally, because he is also right. He's not sure whether he will, after leaving me, whether he will get another customer or not. Now, in a country like India, where natural disasters, pandemic, and the resource scarcity are recurring reality, the price gouging can push the vulnerable citizens into deeper poverty and desperation. I hope that you will agree with me, because there is no other way out. Because in India, we all know that recently there are floods in Uttarakhand, and there are always, you can find, whenever you open nowadays, it's like only disasters only we are seeing. So it is natural disasters and pandemics. So the resources scarcity as well. So morality is the one aspect. And now when we move further with the legal framework, what is the legal framework here with respect to the pricing mechanisms or price gouging, the terminology that has been used? The answer is to overcome. The law also comes into picture to protect us, and that is to what we were discussing for the last two lectures, that is the Essential Commodities Act. It's only one of the act. There are others also, but we are now concentrating or focusing on the Essential Commodities Act, which is considered as a socio-economic offense. Now, moving further, what do you mean by price gouging? How will you understand the terminology of price gouging? The price gouging occurs when the seller increases the prices of goods or services to levels much higher than. So what is here is much higher than considered reasonable or fair, and typically after a demand or supply shock. Because whenever there is when there is a rain, then people go for searching the umbrella, then there is a demand for it. Otherwise, nobody will use the umbrella. Similarly, price gouging is a phenomenon which occur when the seller increase their price of goods or services to the levels much higher than considered reasonable or fair. So if you remember the example which I have asked in the beginning of my lecture, can a 20 rupees mask can be sold for a 200 rupees? Now you have to think from this. He has increased a mask which is 20 rupees to 200 just because there is a huge demand, and whether it is reasonable or fair. So typically after a demand and supply, so he will say that there was a huge demand, but the supply was not that much. So I have increased the price just to maintain the market scenario. Those who can afford, let them buy. That is why I have did that, because I don't have much stock left with me and there is a huge demand whom I will give. Now, while there is no, so is there any universal formula with regard to that? If you look into it, while there is no universally accepted percentage increase that definitively constitutes price gouging, many jurisdictions consider increasing of 10 to 25%. Remember here, 10 to 25% above normal prices during declared emergencies as potentially exploitative. So what is the terminology here? It is exploitation. So the example which regarding the rickshaw, which I told you, is an exploitation. Similarly here, the 20 rupees mask selling for the 200, it is the exploitation. Who is doing that? Who is the exploitator? Now, in the Indian context, this is what we have to look into. Now, in the Indian context, how will you define the price gouging? So under the Indian context, the price gouging is understood from one is the arbitrary price increase without corresponding increase in the production or procurement cost. So what is here? You can see that it is arbitrarily, because there is no one to deter you not to increase. You have increased arbitrarily without, because there is no increase in the production. You are not procuring it and you are not producing it, but you have increased the price of the product. Now, another is excessive profit margin. See, there is no problem, you make the profit. But for the making the profit, there should be some kind of, breach, or we can say that there should be some level of profit that you make. You cannot make more than 100%, 200%, 50%, okay, 20%, 30%, 10%, depending upon. Now here, excessive profit margin during the emergencies or public crisis. Whenever the aspects of public crisis comes or the emergencies comes, it is the time you should come forward and protect for the welfare of the society. But here, what you are doing? Instead of giving support for the welfare of the people or the society, you are exploiting their weakness. It's just like whenever any harm comes, from that you are using that opportunity and you are justifying it by saying that morally, I'm morally correct because this is the time when I can earn. So you are earning your profit. I'm not saying that you should sell it on a loss, but you are selling it on a more than 100% margin, just saying that it is justified morally. And if law is also not there, then imagine the situation of the common people who are marginalized. Now, another is the artificial storages. Now, this is another important aspect of the price fixing. How their price managing is, if you can see that, artificial shortages. You go to the market, you ask for the onion or the vegetable. Generally, it happens with some type of essential commodities only. Onions are not available, tomatoes are not available, and those, when it is available, then they will say that it is 100 rupees, 200 rupees, 300 rupees. Those products which you were getting it for the 50 rupees, 100, they will just increase with the limited. How? That is where the artificial storage. How they are creating that artificial shortage? Artificial shortage is created by hoarding. They will hoard and then they will justify the price. They will say that, madam, it is not available in the market. I am having only this much. So it's if you are not taking, the other person will take it. So if you need, you take it. So they will justify. So, but it is there in their warehouse. They are keeping it in their warehouse and then they will justify their price and they will say that, yes, you are right, madam. I have sold you the same product yesterday for 20 rupees, but now there is a scarcity for it and there are a lot of people who are demanding it and I don't have that to sell. So whatever I am having here, I am going to give it to you. So if you want, you have to pay me this much, or else there will be other person who is standing behind me. He will purchase it. So like this, it is not relating to any kind of natural calamities or the disasters which we have discussed. It is artificially you are creating a kind of shortage. That is, you have come for artificial shortage. There is no real shortage, but artificially you have created. Why? The profit is the motive. How the profit? It is not like there is no moral justification for it, but you are saying that, yes, I need profit, I have made it. Now, again, so don't you think that it's a kind of an offense? And don't you think that the law should come in front? Now, another aspect is the discriminatory, that is the vulnerable populations. They will target and then they will make a discriminatory pricing policy. So, discriminatory prices they will bring about and they will vulnerable population. So, apart from whom and all, they will create. So, what are the three methods which will create or what will constitute the price gouging? Is one is the arbitrary price increase, second is the excessive profit margin, third is the artificial shortages, and the fourth is the discriminatory pricing. So these methods are used, four methods are used in order to constitute the price gouging in India. Now, you can see I'm giving you the certain examples of the price gouging that happens. We have seen it, we have witnessed it, many of us have witnessed it during the health crisis. When the health crisis has come, during the COVID-19 pandemic, the prices for the face mask, hand sanitizers and the oxygen cylinders skyrocketed across India. There was a huge increase in the price. Another example is the natural disasters. When the flood in Kerala happened or the cyclones in the coastal regions often triggered the price spikes of drinking water, food and the building materials. Then the fuel crisis, that also we have seen. Sometimes there is the fuel is not there. So then they will say that international oil supply disruptions, international oil supply disruptions can lead to excessive markups at the retail fuel outlets. So this is also one of the reasons. These are the instances. I am speaking about the instances of the price gouging. Then seasonal food shortage. So seasonal food shortage, we can see that onion price crisis, and it is repeatedly demonstrated. It's not once. And how essential food commodities can become subject to the dramatic price manipulation. Because we always think that to make a vegetable, we need onions. Without onion, how we can make a vegetable where we can eat? So here, that seasonally sometimes the prices, there will be sudden shortage, and then the product will come, and then they will say that it is huge cost, and then they'll say, well, it is because of the rainy, and because of that they have so many reasons to say. And these are some of the examples or the instances which we are very much familiar with. This all of us are very much familiar. What are all the instances? One is the health crisis, natural disaster, fuel crisis, seasonal food shortage. All these are examples or the instances of the price gouging, which is very much relevant or part of the price management. Now, what is the social or the economic impact of the price gouging? It's not only economics. From the economic perspective, it creates it more than it is having a social impact as well. So, being a socio-economic offense, the Essential Commodities Act, its aim is to monitor or to regulate the production, distribution, then sale, or we can, these are going on, and the reduced access to the essentials. So what are the price gouging creates multiple adverse effects? Let us look into it. It will reduce access to the essentials. They will reduce access to the essentials, and the vulnerable population may be unable to afford critical goods. When we are speaking about the vulnerable populations, they are the common people, because rich can afford. But the vulnerable population will make it difficult to buy or purchase a product when the price increases unreasonably. I'm using the term of unreasonable increase. It's not fair. And many will be unable to afford a critical goods. So when we are speaking about the critical goods, those are the goods which are required in order to have a live, or we have to right to life, that has been enshrined in the Constitution under Article 21. So live with dignity, you need to have the food, shelter. So these critical goods will become the price gouging. If there is a sudden increase in the price, then the common people will find it very difficult to afford the food that is required to sustain his life. Another is the market distortion. Now the price signals become unreliable, disrupting efficient resource allocation. So now the market also getting affected. Suppose if you see that when there is a huge price increase, you can find only the rich people going and purchasing it. The middle class or the poor people will never ever go and afford it, and they will not purchase. So what will happen in the market? There will be a sudden, because the more people come and purchase the goods, then the market will also, the economy will also flourish. But here it will not, because there will be only few buyers in the market, and that will affect the market distortion. So that is how the market distortion will take place. Now all this will create an huge economic inequality. So when we speak about the social inequalities, we speak about the caste system, then we say that the vulnerable group and all. But it is not only that, we have the economic inequality also. That means there are rich to the richest and poor to the poorest. But what will happen to the middle class? So there is a huge, or there will be huge economic disparities that come into picture during the crisis. If you look into the example, let me give you an example. We can see that during the COVID, there was a huge demand for online, or we can say that the online education system, or we can say that online classes. Okay, so then everything, so immediately there was a huge rush and there was a huge demand for the technology related products. So technology increased. And what happened? Those companies who were able to afford, and they have quickly captured the market and they became the millionaire with their products. Mobile phones, everybody need the mobile phone. It's good also. I'm not saying that it was bad, but it was good. And that has resulted in reaching the nook and corner. With the mobile phones, the technology has reached, no doubt. But at the same time, what happened? That particular, because the crisis has helped them. But now, when you want to recharge your mobile phones, or when you recharge or you want to purchase your dish, then you need money for that. Who will pay for that if you are not able to afford? So if you are not able to eat, or if you don't have enough thing to sustain yourself, how will the technology come there to help you? So these are the things which you have to think about. Another is that the social distress. This is also, so economic inequality and the social distress, which are the two important terms. Inequality economically and the social distress. What is social distress? People will get panic. And then panically they will buy and hoard behaviors among the consumers. So I will think that tomorrow onwards there will not be shop will be closed. I have enough vegetables in my house, but because of my panic thing, I will purchase more vegetables, though even if it is going to destroy, or even if it is, but I will buy. I will not give it for the other person to get it, because I think that maybe for the few days I am not going to get it. So a unnecessary social distress, and you will hoard it. So hoarding behavior is natural for any human being. Any human being, is very natural, saying that, Acha, there is no way for me to tomorrow. So let me get it today itself. Tomorrow it is closed. Sometimes another example that comes to my mind is the petrol prices. Suppose if you are coming to know that today midnight 12 p.m. onwards, the price of the petrol is going to increase. What will do? Rush. There will be a huge rush in all the petrol pumps. And there you can see that people are getting fuel. Why? Because tomorrow onwards the price is increasing. So a panic attack. But tomorrow onwards, day after tomorrow also, you have to go and you have to use the fuel. But still, that panic attack, or we can say that the social distress, a kind of hoarding behavior will naturally come to the people. So this is the impact of price. This is the impact of price gouging. So immediately the price is increased. So it will have, this is the adverse effect. So price gouging, as I discussed, it will create the multiple adverse effects. To name a few, that is the reduced access to essentials. That is, it's not that everybody will be able to afford the essential goods or services. Secondly, the market will get distorted. The economy will not grow. Thirdly, it will bring the economic inequality among the people. More inequality. Already we have the inequality, but economic inequality will be more. And thirdly, there will be social distress. Fourthly, there will be distress among the people or the society. Now, next is, as I told you, in order to overcome all these situations, we have the Essential Commodities Act. Now, what is the provisions that speaks about how to control the prices of the essential commodities, or how the price gouging has been taken care under the legislation of essential commodities. First, there are two important provisions under it. One is fixing the price of essential commodities. And second is regulating of the price of food items. So remember here, one is the essential commodities. It can be non-food items as well. But here, that is to fix the prices of the essential commodities. Secondly, to regulate the prices of the food items. That means the regulation of the food items. Now, let us look into it in detail. First, fixing the prices of essential commodities under section 3, subsection 3. What it says, the payment of the prices for the commodities acquired by the central government or any state government are spelled out under section 3, subclause 3 of the Act. So, the payment of the prices for the commodities acquired by the central government. So, here what it means, the commodities are acquired by whom? By the central government or any state government for that matter, and that means they can pay the price to the trader and they can purchase it, and through their retail they will be selling it to the common people. Secondly, the government concerned has the discretionary power in matters relating to the fixation of prices of an essential commodity acquired by it. So the concerned government, so the government is acquiring the products or the commodities from the traders, and then at what price they will be paying, it is for them to decide it depending upon certain parameters, and then the price at which the essential commodity will be sold to the public is also decided by the government. Now, what is the method for that? In such cases that the Act provides for the same, the seller shall be paid the price of the commodity and how it is determined. This is what is important. That means, as I told you, that the price, that is the government is acquiring the product, the commodities, and of course it is essential commodities. It's not the luxury goods, it's the essential commodities. And here the government is trying to balance the interest of both the consumers and the traders. Okay, so that is why if you see what my topic that I'm discussing is the price control mechanisms and protecting. So here the mechanism that is used by the government to protect the interest of the consumers, and the traders. So both are there. So remember that it is not the consumers alone. It is, so the common people includes even the traders. So the government need to protect their interest as well. You got it? It is not that only the common people, so consumers. So if you look into it, the legislation has tried to balance the interest of both the traders as well as the consumers. Now, whether it is actually implementing it or not, it depends upon which we have discussed in the last class, that is the second class, regarding the administrator. So it is the administrator. Here, if he has followed the procedures, that is fine. And so here, the provision itself provides how the payment of the price, need to be paid to the seller. The seller shall be paid under 3 categories. One is the agreed price. What is the agreed price signifies? Agreed price signifies where the prices can be agreed upon by the government and the seller inconsistent with the controller price, if any, fixed under this sector, the agreed price to be paid. So, the government will buy the government and the seller inconsistent with the controller price. So, the controller price means he will be giving a platform where both the prices, because the seller should not be at a loss. Then how he will survive? So, the cost that has incurred for his production need to be paid off by the government for him. And any fixed under this sector, so that means depending upon the sector and the agreed price to be paid, that is known as the agreement. So it's a kind of mutual agreement or a contract that has been entered by the government and the seller. Got it? Second mechanism is the control price. That means there is no agreement in this. Let us read that. Where no agreement as to the price is reached, because sometimes it's not that every time they will reach to a conclusion. So where there is no agreement as to the price is reached, the price calculated is with reference to the control price is to be paid. So control price is a different kind of mechanism where there is no agreement, but the government will, to an extent, will make a kind of control where the price need to be paid will be paid to the seller. It may be less sometimes, but of course he has to compensate it for, maybe he may not get the profit, but at least his basic investment or his basic aspects will be compensated in that. And another is the market price. So what is the market price? Signifies always market price is where there is neither an agreed price nor a control price. So here control, a kind of a monopoly from the part of the government may come. But here neither an agreed price nor a control price, the price calculated at the prevailing market rate is to be paid. So how the market price is calculated in the market? It always depends upon the supply and demand. It's always fluctuating. We have seen the stock market. The share which you have brought for 10 rupees may suddenly increase to 100, and the share which you have purchased for 100 may come to 10 rupees. So it's all the market variance. So depending upon the stock or depending upon the market, always it is the demand and supply theory. So here, what are the three aspects of fixing the price of the essential commodities by the government is, between the seller and the government is, one is the agreed price, second is the control price, and third is the market price. Now, what is the regulation of selling the prices of foodstuffs? So foodstuffs is also another important aspect. Now, we know that it is a very essential requirement, or it's an essential commodity. Now, how the regulation, that is how the prices will be fixed for that foodstuff? First, the central government has been empowered by the Act to regulate the selling price of foodstuffs in any locality during the emergency. Now, this is one aspect, that is during the emergency, the central government has been given power to regulate the selling prices of the foodstuffs. So, those foodstuffs in any locality. So, when we are mentioning any locality, remember in the last class we mentioned about the state and the center. So, it is not the central government which is just giving the directions or the order. It includes the state as well, where they are regulating or selling the price of the foodstuffs. Next is that whenever the central government find it necessary to control the rise in prices or prevent the hoarding of any foodstuff, the government regulate their selling price. So, what it means? The central government find it necessary to control the rise in prices. So, we can see that when the government comes to know that the prices of an essential product is increasing, they, in order to prevent the hoarding of any foodstuff, because the moment you come to know that tomorrow onwards there is going to be a price increase in the onions, or for that matter any other product which is very essential to you, then you will start hoarding it, you will start purchasing it today itself, and then the government regulate their selling price. The selling price will be decided accordingly. Secondly, the prices shall be determined in accordance with the relevant provisions of section 3, subsection 3A of the Act. And Act also provides for the method of fixation of price of foodstuffs of edible oils acquired by the government. So, when the government is acquiring, then it will provide the method of fixation of the price. And the criteria for fixation of the fair price of sugar payable to the producer has been provided in the Act. So, as I told you that sugar has been considered as an essential commodity. So, the criteria for the fixation, how the fair price, so here the fair price, it is the word used is the fair price, is payable, also has been provided in the legislation. So, we can see that the essential commodities legislation provides for the main, the systematically how the price need to be fixed. Now, how you will fix the price of essential commodity during the emergency? As I have already mentioned that the price fixing is done by the government during the emergency. Section 3, subsection 3A Subclause 1 is in the nature of an emergency provision and can be resorted to meet a situation arising at a particular locality. Now, the notification issued by the government to the above effect shall be in force for 3 months only. It's very important, that's only for the 3 months, and may be specified therein as per the subsection 3A subclause 2. So the section, so what is we are speaking about the emergency, how the price is fixed during the emergency period, prices of the essential commodities. So it is in the nature of emergency provision. So notification is issued, and that notification will be valid for the force in 3 months only. Because see, the emergency, it's not that a lifelong emergency. Emergency situations comes maybe 1 month, 2 months or 3 months. Then normally by the time the emergency comes, then we will find out the ways how to overcome that emergency. It's not that once an emergency, always an emergency. It's not like that, right? So here, that is why the 3 months provision is provided, where they will come up with the price fixation. Because after 3 months, the scenario may change. Now, if you go and ask anybody, you need mask, nobody needs mask. So now it will be free of cost. Even the mask will be free of cost. Even you don't need to pay 20 rupees, right? So, but you can see there was a time where it was sold for 200 rupees, 300 rupees, or there was no kind of regulation where the government interfered and they made it or brought it under the purview of the essential commodities. So it is only for the particular period that they will be using it. So the selling specified foodstuffs. Now, when it comes to the foodstuffs, what it says, for selling specified foodstuffs in the specified locality, the seller shall be paid the price thereof as the follows. Of course, we have discussed this earlier as well. What is that? I'm just again repeating the same thing which we have discussed. And this is during the emergency also, the same formula is followed, which we have already discussed. What is that? One is the agreed price, right? And next is the control price, and another is the market price. So these are the three: market rate, that is the control price, agreed price, and the market price as per the prevailing market rate in the locality at the date of sale. So here, and this is provided under section 3, subsection 3AI. So they said that, and whether neither of the above clause A or B applies. So where the agreed price and the control price is not applicable, there the market rate of the price will be applied. So we have discussed this, the price fixation, and now again I am repeating it for the purpose of the fixing of price of during the emergencies, right? Now another important aspect is the authorized person here, who is the government has got the power to appoint authorized controller. Who is this authorized controller? The central government has been vested with necessary powers under the subsection 4 of section 3 to authorize any person known as the authorized controller when it is considered necessary for maintaining or increasing the production and supply of essential goods. And this authorized controller shall exercise such functions of control as may be provided in the order with respect to the whole or any part of any such undertaking engaged in the production and supply of the commodity. And the authorized controller shall exercise his functions in accordance with any instructions given to him by the central government. Now, what is important here is appointment of an authorized controller. So, in the other part, we have seen that it is the collector who was made the administrative head, or we can say he was given the powers for the seizure or the confiscation of the violated goods. Now here, when it comes to the price fixing, or we can say that the price management, the power to appoint by the central government is known as, they will be appointing a person known as the authorized controller. So he will be the person who will be looking into the price fixing for a product that is essential with respect to the requirement. Now, we can look into how it functions in the state. When it comes to the state level, as I told you that always there is a center and the state. So a good way of coordination between the center and the state is required for the welfare of the citizens of a country. And if there is no well coordination between the states and the center, then it will amount to a lot of distress among the people, and then a lot of chaos may happen. But here we can see that the law has made the provisions in such a way that it's a kind of federal activity. That is, both they should in work synchronizing, and then we can see how at the state level enforcement, because the center will not be knowing what will be required at the state level. So the state level enforcement mechanism is also very important elements. That's what I'm discussing, that part here. What is there? One is the state food and civil supply departments. Many of us are familiar about the supply co, or we can say that the state food and the supplies department. So they will monitor local market and enforce price control orders. So this is the order, that is the collector is not the central, it's like the state. Every state there will be district wise there is. So they will monitor. So this particular department, so their main objective is to look into what price the products are sold in the market, and what is the demand, whether there is a demand or not, what kind of demand is there, whether it's artificial demand or whether it is a natural demand. So the state food and the civil supply departments, they will monitor local market and enforce price control orders. Secondly, we have the price controlling cells. So these price controlling cells were established in the states to track price movements of essential commodities. So in the state level, they have made or established the price monitoring cell. So they will always monitor. So it will be daily basis, it will be weekly basis, it will be monthly basis, but their duty is to monitor the market, the goods that are sold, and especially with respect to the essential goods, because as I told you that they are very essential to keep our life, to sustain ourselves. There are certain commodities that is required to sustain our life. So they will be looking into that. Same as certain drugs. That means when I'm mentioning the drugs, that is the medical or the healthcare, there are certain aspects which are required for us. Now we are moving towards the energy, that is the renewable energy, because we wanted to protect the Mother Earth. Now the plantation drive is going on, trees. So now the question, so you can see that protection of the trees may also come once as an essential aspect to protect the trees. But anyway, now we are we can look back into the enforcement mechanism that has been provided. The price monitoring cells is established in the states to track the price movements of the essential commodities. Then we have the district administration. What the district administration will do? District collectors and the magistrate. So you can see the district collector is also considered as a magistrate, and the magistrate is also considered as an executive head or in the power of the district collector, and they are empowered to issue price control order under the Essential Commodities Act. So one is price control orders are issued. This is at the state level. Second, conduct raids on hoarders and the profiteers. That means conducting the raid. So suppose if they come to know that the government officials are coming, then they will keep every records very much clear. So that is why the raid means without knowing that somebody is going to come, they will come, they will raid, and they will be, that is, if they come to know that you are making more profit and you are hoarded, you have the goods with you, but you are saying that no stock, we don't have, and I won't be able to sell you. But if they go and look into your garage, or they go and look into your warehouse, they will find that you have the sufficient goods there, but you are not. So then you will be charged for the same, because that is how they have got the order. That means not only to issue the price control order, secondly, conduct raids on the hoarders and the profiteers, then as in the seize the goods sold at the exploitative prices. So when they come to know that you are selling the goods at a very exploitative prices, then they will seize your goods. Remember, the word terminology used is not confiscation, it is seizing the goods. That means they're taking the goods away from you, and those goods which you are selling at a very exploitative price. Then after that, they may also cancel the license of errant businesses. So those who are doing the wrong thing, then their license may also get cancelled. So the state level enforcement, so at the state level, this much of powers are exercised by the district collectors or the magistrates, because they have given the power and they are doing this. This is the district administration. So state have their food and civil supply department at their state level. Secondly, they have the price monitoring cell. Thirdly, they have the district administration, which consists of the power that is given to the district magistrate and the collector, who will issue, they are empowered to issue the price control order, conduct raid, seize goods, and cancel the license of the errant businesses. Now, let us look into the scenario of price control vis-a-vis production. We are speaking about the price control, why there is a need to control the prices. Now, what will happen to the production if the prices are controlled more? Here, one aspect is that price control can also be utilized as a means to encourage production. In this context, price controls typically involve, what it doing? It is not saying that you should sell your goods free. They are making a system, setting up the minimum or the support prices for a specific goods or agricultural product. So they are giving the minimum support, subsistence allowances are provided. Just like the government through the various schemes giving the unemployment wages, or we can say that for the women empowerment they are providing, or the many needy people they are giving, vulnerable groups, all they are supporting through the way of scholarships and all. Similarly here, the price control is a means. So if there is when there is a price control, they will set a minimum, or we can say the supportive prices for a specific goods or the agricultural products, and then they will offer incentives to the producers and the farmers. See, there is a need for incentives. If there is no incentives provided to you, why you need to work? So we know that it is not that everybody will have the self-motivation. We need motivation. We need motivation to grow sometimes. All are not born with the self-motivation. So the government should offer incentive to the producer and the farmer, and so the government is taking the goods from them. So there is no need for them to worry that what will happen to the goods that we are producing, and because they will not be in a position to know how much goods are required for the common people. Okay, so the demand supply will be known to the so-called the committees that has been constituted, who will be monitoring the goods demand, and the price is fixed. So this price control, it will provide a guaranteed price floor, ensuring that the producers receives a reasonable return for their efforts. So then they are happy. So that is why I am telling you, as my topic today, we are looking into both protection of the traders as well as the consumers. So here the consumers are happy because they are getting the essential commodities as a very reasonable fair price, and the producers are happy because they can produce more depending upon the requirement, because they know that this is the price control and there is that much will be paid in the form of an incentives, and they will get a reasonable return for their efforts, which in turn stimulates and maintains the production level. So this will keep the production level balanced. Or else, if there is no purchaser, then why they will produce? Because then, the more they produce, then there is no demand. So this price control mechanism is also one of the incentives, or we can say that it is a means to encourage the production of the goods in the market. Then another aspect of this is, by setting the prices at a favorable level for producers, the governments can promote increased output, stabilize the supply of essential commodities, and maintain the food security. We all know that food security is the crux word now. It's a buzzword now. Food security. We all need food. Nobody should be, there should not be any kind of death because of the starvation. Food is essential. So food security, so to maintain the food security also, this price control will help to maintain the production level in the society, especially with respect to the essential commodities. Now, let us take the example of the agriculture. We know that India was an agricultural land. So in agriculture, for instance, the minimum support prices can encourage the farmers to cultivate crops and produce food even during unfavorable market conditions. So thereby contributing to the agricultural sustainability and ensuring a consistent supply of vital product. So you know that it's not that every time the market will be favorable. You need food. Suppose even during the rainy season also you need something. It's not that now the rain, so we can't grow the rice and we cannot grow the wheat, with the flood is there. So you have to produce, you have to store in the warehouses, so that even during the rainy season, the required wheat and the rice, which are also the very much essential for your livelihood, will be provided or will be given to you in the market. So this is why the minimum support prices will encourage the farmers to cultivate crops and produce food even during the unfavorable market condition, thereby contributing the agricultural sustainability and ensuring the consistent supply. So this is where the price control will help for the production. Now you can see again, it will help to strike a balance between the interest of the producers and the consumers while addressing the economic stability and the long-term sustainability in various industries. Then it can be used as a mechanism for income redistribution, and it can be used as a way that benefits lower income families by keeping prices below market level, making essential goods more affordable for those with limited financial means. And by implementing the price controls that reduce the cost of essential items, the governments can effectively redistribute income from wealthier segments of the population to the economically disadvantaged. And so this approach of the price control is often used as a policy tool to address the income inequality which I mentioned, and to improve the economic well-being of the vulnerable and the marginalized populations. Now, what are the price enforcement mechanisms? Let's look into it. One is the market intelligence. That means the regular pricing monitoring to the market surveys and the consumer complaints. Second is the raids and the inspection. So these are all the price enforcement mechanisms. Surprise checks at retail outlet to detect violations. Then the stock limit, that means the imposing inventory restrictions to prevent hoarding. Fourth, license cancellations, that means revoking the business permits for repeated offenders. Then fifthly, public disclosure, that means the publishing the name of the violators to create the deterrence. Now let us go with some examples. What are they? One is we have seen in 2019, there was a onion price crisis because the prices of the onion soared to 150 to 200 per kg, and the government imposed stock holding limits under the Essential Commodities Act. So I'm just giving you certain live examples which we have seen or which we have gone through, and where the government has invoked the Essential Commodities Act to fix the price. Then another case, that is the state of Karnataka versus multiple retailers in 2018. The Karnataka High Court upheld the penalties imposed on the multiple retailers who were charging the MRP of the bottled water during a water shortage and establishing that emergency do not justify charging. So they were saying that justified that it was an emergency, so we have increased the MRP. No, that is not taken into. Then another case, that is the Consumer Education and the Research Center. Again, though not directly about the price gouging, the Supreme Court said that right to life under 21 includes the protection from exploitation by unfair trade practices, creating constitutional underpinnings for anti-price gouging measures. Then what about the offences that are committed by the companies? Section 10 subclause 1 provides that the person contravening an order under the section 3, that is even if it is a company, every person who at the time of the contravention was in charge of and was responsible to the company for the conduct of the businesses of the company shall be deemed to be guilty of the contravention. That means the company here, it will include the director and whoever the persons associated with the company in any nomenclature, and it includes the firm or the association of the individuals. So when the offence is committed by the company, it is proved the offence has been in the consent and the connivance of the attributions. So in the case of the Sheraton, Agarwal and other, this is state of Madhya Pradesh, the Supreme Court addressed the issue of the partner's liability in a firm for the violations of the Act, clarifying that they can be held accountable for the firm's infractions based on the principle of vicarious liability, and the court noted that those who actively participate in the firm's operations may face the prosecution under the Act. Now let us look into how the judiciary has taken up the issue of the price fixing, or we can say that the price management. First is Sri Sitaram Sugar Company Limited versus the Union of India. The Supreme Court affirmed the government's authority to set prices for essential commodities, but highlighted the necessity for this power to be exercised reasonably, fairly, without arbitrariness, always taking into consideration the broader public interest. Secondly, the state of Maharashtra versus Baurao Punjab Rao Gowde. There also they affirmed the validity of the preventive detention orders issued under the Essential Commodities Act to take care or to curb the black marketing, and saying that essential role is played to ensure the availability of the necessary goods and to maintain the public order. Then in the case of Prague Ice versus Oil Mills and Union of India, there also the affirmed the constitutionality of the price control order. So the price control order also has been affirmed, or we can say the court has justified that the Essential Commodities Act, the price control orders are to be given. Then again, the Tejas by Mahesh Thakur, the state of Gujarat, the court upheld that the collector, that is the collector, need to be given, that is when he is confiscating, then he should adhere to the clause. And then we can see the aspect of another procedural lapse. So if there is a procedural lapse in the investigation, as the Supreme Court in 2024, it's the very latest, where they said that there was a procedural lapse in the investigation, so the persons who were accused was acquitted. They said that they have not followed what was required in the legislation, so they were acquitted. So the bench remarked that where a power is given to do a certain thing in a certain way, and the thing must be done that way and not at all, the result, the appellant were acquitted due to the procedural errors and the lack of sufficient evidence. Now, what are there for the protection of the interests of the consumers and the direction? From the consumer's point of view, consumers can afford necessities. It will eliminate monopolies. From the trader's point of view, the small producers can remain competitive, shortage and illegal market, excess demand and supply, and less research and will go. So what we can say in conclusion is that price control mechanism is an essential tool to maintain the balance or to protect the interest of both the producers, that is the traders, and the consumers, that means who are there to use the system or where they will get the essential commodities at a reasonable price. So the Essential Commodities Act is a best piece of legislation where has been drafted, and it is a best example of the socio-economic crimes in India. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gillette Sam, and I teach sociology at IIT Kanpur. One of the things you must have noticed if you read or if you talk to people around you is that they often refer to something called globalization, or they often say we live in a global world. What does this mean? Today I'll tell you about how to think about globalization or interpret the word global in a sociological manner. When sociologists refer to globalization, they refer to three things. The first is that that it involves transplanetary processes, which means that something is going on across multiple borders, right? The second is that it involves heightened liquidity and interconnected flows. Now, by liquidity, and this is a term that was coined by the sociologist Zygmunt Bauman, we refer to the increasing interconnectedness of things across the globe, but we also refer to increasing instability across the world, which means that potentially something that is occurring many kilometers away from you actually influences the place that you live in. So if there is a natural disaster happening in one part of the world, maybe that causes people to migrate from that area and they come and settle where you stay. So that is what we mean by liquidity. And of course, when we are talking about liquidity, we are talking about things that are really moving from one place to the other. Now, the third aspect, and this is something that you may not conventionally come across in the way people use globalization, is that of structures. So, let's take an example. Supposing I, as an Indian citizen, wish to visit a foreign country. Let's say I want to go to South Africa. Can I just pick up my bags and hop on the next plane and go to South Africa? Any logical person is going to say, no, wait, you need to have documents such as your passport or visa. Now, this passport or this visa is a representation of the larger structure that governs how people move across borders. So, we have things like border control, national security agencies that consider what kind of people are going to move from one place to the other. Correct? So, when we think about globalization, an average person typically tends to think about things moving or people moving from place to place. As sociologists, we also consider that there are structures that facilitate or direct this movement across multiple borders.